Another issue we face, in the Amencio Corrales video that Jason showed, Amencio is just one case. In the state of Arizona, that's about par for the course. In fact, the way it was prosecuted may actually have been better than some parts of the state. In Colorado, who has a state which has a hate crime law, another person who was murdered in 2006, her killer was sentenced to life imprisonment plus an enhanced sentence for hate crimes. Same circumstances. The jury in that case and the prosecutor in that case didn't buy the gay panic or transgender panic defense, which is what the prosecutor in Amencio Corrales' case based his case on. It depends on what the laws are. In many cases, the federal hate crimes bill, which has passed the House of Representatives and is in the Senate right now, if it's passed, will go a long way towards changing the way hate crimes are viewed against transgender and LGBT people. I ask you on that, as far as that bill goes, to contact our senators who, having visited their offices in Washington a couple years ago, are not very favorably disposed towards supporting it, but may possibly be swayed. But contact them and let them know, and everybody you know, that they need to support those bills, not just for LGBT people, but it also expands the protection to a number of other groups as well. One of the things, draw your attention to this slide, this is a common experience of transgender people. Natalie said, I feel like I can't talk about it. I mean, how many therapists or social service providers are going to understand queer, S&M, abused, intersex, interracial individuals? It's too complicated. There is too much explaining that I have to do. It's easier to live with the results of the violence than to be emotionally abused by a system that's not set up to protect us. Transgender people live in a cloak of invisibility just to begin with. There's a high level of discrimination against us. We hide as much as possible from society. Most transgender people want to get through the transition and disappear again, which is why the numbers are so hard to track and how many we are. I personally know 300 people in the city of Tucson over the last 7 years who have transitioned, who I have been part of the support network in helping them transition. 2/3 of whom I have no contact with anymore because I served my purpose in their life and I respect that. Acquaintance rape, I don't like the term date rape because it applies to more than just people you go out on a date with. With acquaintance rape, transgender people in Tucson report 50%, and 50% of the cases report having been raped by at least one person that they knew. For non-transgender people, the number is between 5 and 30%. 86% of transgender people in Tucson have been harassed verbally or physically, just for being transgender. Sexual violence is very often a hate crime tactic against LGBT people. We're raped simply because we are who we are. Oftentimes a transgender male will be raped because somebody wants to prove to him that he's not a man. That he's really the woman he should be the woman he was born as. Transgender women are raped because, well, if you want to be a woman, you got to act like it. In the same year that Matthew Shepard was murdered, there were 30 transgender people murdered under equally brutal circumstances, and not one of them ever made the news. Shouldn't have happened to anybody. But whereas it took a Matthew Shepard to bring the gay, lesbian community violence to the surface, people didn't want to look any further than that to transgender people. The hate crimes bill that is passing through this year is only the second year that it's included transgender people, gender identity. Prior to that, it was just gay or lesbian, sexual orientation. It should have been, but it also should have included people like myself. Transgender victims are less likely to get help because the police departments, the criminal justice system, as in the Amencio Corrales case, attempted manslaughter, stabbed 30 times, beaten, and thrown in a river. Attempted manslaughter. If somebody beats me up, if the system is going to treat somebody who was murdered brutally that way, what are they going to do for somebody who's just been beaten? I'll tell you what they're going to do. It's not going to be a high enough profile crime for the county prosecutor to prosecute. I have a friend who's going through that right now. And if it hadn't been for Wingspan, her case would have been thrown off the books a long, long time ago. As it is, it's an uphill battle trying to get it prosecuted. The federal criminal statistics reports don't include transgender people. They do include gay and lesbian people, and so if a transgender person is seen as being gay or lesbian, they're included, but they're not otherwise not included. We are an invisible population. Here, I'm going to start off with all the federal protections for transgender people.